All right, so you are recorded, just to let you know. Oh, can somebody push the button, please? Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. We have an amazing call today, both online and in person. As you can see here, there's a bunch of people that are. Can you say hi, everyone? This is a
Hello.
great free talk.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Amazing.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Can be an epic photo.
100%.
Yeah, this is awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us today. And I think that Angela is going to share her screen in a second, so we can start.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay.
So welcome everyone. I'm Angela, founder of TE Academy, and today we are going to release the first module of TE Fundamentals, the program first comprehensive learning and certification program in token engineering. Thanks for joining everybody in full note at Berlin Blockchain Week, and thanks for joining everyone online. We had already a session with our local hosts, and this will be the most exciting part of our program today. Jesus is here in person from Spain, and many more local hosts that will offer study sessions for TE Fundamentals. You'll learn more about that in a second. For now, I'd like to walk you through first what TE Fundamentals is, what this program is all about, and then we'll get to the hosts' presentations. So can everybody see my screen? Yeah. All right. So first, Berlin Blockchain Week. This is a full week of blockchain events in Berlin. We are running sessions as well on DAO intelligence, the TE Fundamentals early access today, DAO voting mechanisms, ComSoc on Wednesday, again here at Full Note if you're interested, and a discussion this lunch with Michael Sargem on engineering ethics. So you can stay at Full Note pretty much the full day joining our sessions actually. And for the today's program, just for your overview, today at 11 Berlin time now, this is the first round of early access sessions with study groups, a first cohort of study groups presenting. And in the afternoon for the Latin America US people, we have a second round. Both is early access, start studying token engineering. And then engineering ethics, as mentioned, an introduction and conversation with Michael Sargem and students of TE Academy and people at Full Note, happening at 2 p.m. Berlin time. So feel free to come here again or stay or join online as well. And there's a link at our webpage, tokenengineering.org. You can even add your question to the discussion. So we have already collected a couple of questions on engineering ethics in Web3, and feel free to add your question as well, and we'll include it in the conversation. All right, but now, this is the agenda of the current session. So I'd like to share more about the TE Fundamentals program, the team behind TE Fundamentals, the study groups. You can all, as the student, join a study group. We'll have presentations so that you get to know the study group hosts, some of them, because actually we have around 30 study groups in 8 languages and more than 10 time zones. So feel free to join a group that, is most suitable to you, and in terms of language time, or also in terms of your background. And for your information, more details to be shared, the full launch of TE Fundamentals will be at DEF CON. Today we are launching the first module, the first learning module. And at the end of the session, I'd like to invite you all to our Discord, join a study group, and start studying basically. All right, first, some words about the vision of TE Academy. I don't know if you've ever joined a session at TE Academy, if you know us. Our aspiration and vision for token engineering is we are trying to build out systems that, rather than trying to optimize humans via incentives, provide the maximum degree of freedom while preventing dangerous conditions. This sounds pretty simple, can be pretty hard, but we are up to it. And there's another definition of token engineering. You might have heard about terms like cryptoeconomics, that we consider the scientific discipline, the theory behind token engineering. You might have heard about the term tokenomics. For us, we call it engineering because this is for us a really new field, crypto native field, about the rigorous analysis, design, and verification of crypto token-based systems. We reconcile theory with practice. This is an applied knowledge science and guided by a sense of responsibility, because we are raising, no matter if it's token engineering or if building smart contracts, whatever, will have a huge impact on humans' life. And this requires a sense of responsibility, DAOs, of new form of organizations as well. Last but not least, our mission as an academy is develop this new engineering discipline with a body of knowledge, with open science programs, with the best researchers in crypto and academia. We want to educate aspiring token engineers and grow the number of token engineers in crypto, because we really think that today we are not even touching on what's the opportunity in new token economies. This is also because the lack of knowledge, the lack of expertise and experts available to crypto projects. We basically get requests on a weekly basis. We need a token engineer for our project. We need to better understand how to design our token system. Who can help us? And that's actually something we'd like to solve. And we are pretty confident that TE Fundamentals is a huge step in this direction. This is about education, talent scouting, matchmaking for crypto projects, and last but not least, create new Web3 value flows for education and research, where the NFTs that we create and that you can earn for passing the exam in TE Fundamentals is your first step for building up a track record in token engineering. We are using the new account-bound token standard ERC 4973. And this is just a starting point for so much more in how can we create a discipline, how can we form a new engineering field using tokens ourselves, right? For reputation, for connections, for networking, for understanding and rewards in our own ecosystem. And with that, let's take a look at TE Fundamentals, the first comprehensive education and certification program in token engineering. You might have seen this flower, and it's from a very influential paper, Foundations of Cryptoeconomic Systems, and it maps out the disciplines that are relevant in token engineering, starting with computer science, cryptography, of course, and on the other side, also, I guess, not a surprise, economics and game theory. But then there are more disciplines where we really can draw from or apply methods like industrial and systems engineering with the process in discovery. You are understanding the system requirements with the design, building the algorithms and verify them in modeling and simulations. Plus, since we have such granular data about economic systems, I mean, this was never possible before. We can apply really strong AI optimization and control methods to balance these systems, to optimize these systems, to understand and defend against attack vectors. And last but not least, the lower area of this flower, we have the social side. We are building socio-technical systems. This is about philosophy, law, and ethics. We are raising a lot of very new questions. It's about psychology, decision science, human behavior, and last but not least, coming to DAOs, it's political science and governance, how to govern these new systems, how to implement governance in algorithms. So a lot of really exciting questions and fields we can draw from, but for token engineering, the most, I would say the largest challenge over the last 2 years was, how can we come together using and leveraging all these different fields and enabling collaboration. And this is, you don't even understand what I don't understand with T fundamentals. We are trying to building this common ground, this shared understanding of what we are doing here, of the process, of the methods we apply. And via that, we hope to open the valve for all kinds of collaborations amongst these disciplines, because we have this shared understanding of token engineering as a field, a first understanding, and it's still in the early days. But yeah, if we don't start, we won't make progress. And this is number one, an invitation to you all to study T fundamentals, to have this common ground, and then start collaborating. We are already seeing in the study groups new DAOs forming, DAOs who want to extend their offerings in terms of token engineering, new teams and projects spinning up for addressing cryptoeconomic challenges. And I'd say we are building this discipline all together, and it's a lot of freedom. It's a huge opportunity, and I'm sure we have a lot of very exciting months ahead of us. That said, this is an overview on the current signups. We have collected almost 2,500 signups for T fundamentals. This is the share of fields of studies of the students, economics, computer science, engineering, and a good portion of data science and mathematics involved. And that's a good signal, because we need these people in crypto to really make the most of this opportunity of token-based economic systems. And that's very promising. Okay. Some words about the curriculum. T fundamentals will be a composition of 5 modules. The first module that will be released today is Introduction to Token Engineering. We'll take a look at it in a minute. The second module is the token engineering process, the first phase, discovery phase, which is about the system purpose and goals, the system requirements, the stakeholders, the value flows on a conceptual level, feedback loops, causal loops, first mapping out the system. The third module is, again, a step in the token engineering process, which is the design phase, which is basically translating the findings from the discovery phase to math, to a mathematical formulation, define the variables and states of the system, define the actions, the action space, and define also performance indicators too. And the deployment phase, to build digital twins, to run simulations and experiments to better understand the system design and also sensitivities, because this understanding of the algorithms you have built, their limitations, the attack vectors, of course, is super important to build a robust system once you launch, and then to be able to monitor and improve it over time. Because, I mean, it's hard to predict human behavior. It's great that we have data to monitor systems, and we need to establish a practice around monitoring and continuous improvement of systems, the deployment phase. The last module, or the 5th module, is an introduction to governance for token engineers. And this is covering we had short introduction rounds here at Full Node, and there was also a mention of, okay, I'm working in a DAO, we are launching our own token, we'd like to establish token-based governance. And here we have a lot of really new questions, how to shape governance processes, what rights for governance can be associated with a token, what are the limitations, best practices for governance. And also the most important challenges, you as a token engineer should have a good overview, a good understanding of what it means to build token-based governance. And module 5 is focusing on governance for token engineers. And last but not least, there'll be an additional module, which is the refreshers. Here you can expect refreshers in system theory, game theory, complex systems engineering, also calculus, linear algebra, basically the most important fields and the most important concepts of these fields that you should know, and sources for further reading and education. Because, I mean, you can expect a steep learning curve with TE fundamentals. You should and can bring your own discipline, since we have this flower. Token engineering is at its core a cross-disciplinary field. And at the same time, you should know the other related fields and should know the core concepts, and the refreshers is an additional, components of TE fundamentals that should make it easier for everyone to get the full picture. All right. Again, the full launch of all these modules is on October 12th during DEF CON. You can sign up to receive all information and updates if you haven't. And from there, once the platform and TE Fundamentals is live, you'll just register and can start studying. It's an online course, so there's no application or no limitations in terms of students. Everybody can study. You can either study individually at your own pace or join a study group, whatever you prefer. And today we'll launch the module 1 early access for study groups. But before that, I'd like to introduce you to the team who built TE fundamentals. And before I jump into that, let's see if we have some questions here in the room or in the chat. Yeah, we have a first question. Maybe you come over here so that also people in the online call can hear you.
It's just a very basic question or concern. I'm thinking about, is it all free, or at some point, is it a paid program?
Good call. I didn't even mention it, but TE Fundamentals is a free program. And this matters for TE Academy. We'd like to offer this as a free program because we'd like to enable everyone, no matter of personal background, budget, wherever you live on this planet, to study TE fundamentals. That's why it's not paid. It's free for students, and you can just sign up and start studying. Thanks for the question. Any other question here in the room or in the chat? Okay. Somebody, Tevo is sharing funny. I think we kind of skipped the design phase in our teams. Yay. We deployed so many different experiences, but now we are not sure how to show or leverage collected information. Okay, Tevo, this is probably not a super unusual experience. I hope once you go over TE fundamentals, you find some good support materials, methods for, iterate on the process in your project. Thanks for sharing. Okay, there's a question on the presentations. The second presentation at 2 p.m. will be 50% the same introduction to TE fundamentals, but there will be a second cohort of study groups and hosts presenting. So in this session at UTC morning, we'll have study group hosts from Asia, Europe, and in the afternoon, we'll have Latin America, US. So definitely, if you'd like to join a study group, check it out. Also the afternoon session to meet the study group hosts. Oh yeah, this is a frequent question. How much mathematical and coding experience one needs to have? Okay, number one, math and Python will be our shared language in token engineering. So Don't even try to get around it. Just embrace it. It's our language. You can't be precise about the mechanisms you design without math, and you won't be able to really understand how the systems work in practice if you don't have any idea about smart contracts, and you won't be able to build or even discuss simulations without Python. So no way around it. Still, there will be specialists in the various fields, or I would say process steps in token engineering, and we can totally see that. Let me give you 2 or 3 examples. Number 1, Web2 product managers have a good experience in designing business models usually, and designing features, and understand the motivations of users, of stakeholders of a system. Typically, they are pretty good at the first deployment phase. And we can even apply a lot of the user research methods that have been established in Web2 to understand the stakeholders and their motivations to use a system. So this could be one special area that is well suited and very interesting for people with a background there. Then for the math part, of course, I know people in our community that just are excited about cracking the nut and building the best possible algorithm that reflects our purpose and the mechanism we'd like to see in our system. And second, is super robust, super performant. And these people will totally enjoy building these algorithms. Nevertheless, you have to be able to talk to each other. And the last one, Danilo, has a lot of experience here. He's also in the call. Maybe you would like to say a quick hello in a minute, but he is building simulations. And this is an art in itself, because scientific computing has its own challenges. If you try to build a digital twin of a system, you try to run simulations, this can quickly explode and you don't have the slightest chance to draw any conclusions. But we have to. So we need these people focusing on that area. So overall, there will be special, focus areas in token engineering. You'll find your own focus area based on your background, the things you enjoy most. But overall, expect you have to deal with math. You'll have to deal with Python. You'll have to deal with smart contracts. And we hope to make it as easy as possible with this course and all our upcoming activities, because for us, it's like we have a great teacher on board, Andrew Penland, and he talks about math like it would be a landscape, like it is something you can explore visually, you can explore via symbols, you can explore via scenarios, so that I think everybody is able to understand and should be able to understand the algorithms we create. And this can be a lot of fun, I promise, and you'll see in the study groups and in the course. Okay. All right, so there are a lot of additional comments in the chat. Thanks for adding them. Paddy will make sure in the background to distribute more information, and I'll go ahead with the team behind TE Fundamentals. 1 year ago, basically, we discussed the first time building this program, and it took a year to put it together. So this is myself, founder of TE Academy, Paddy, ecosystem lead of TE Academy. She has put together and established the program with the study group hosts. Then Andrew Penland, I just mentioned him. He's our education lead and TE Academy wizard, PhD in math, teaching awards for teaching math. And I think we are just, trying out a lot of really innovative approaches. Here, Chris Peru, content lead, economics and math at Cryptoeconomics Institute at the University in Vienna, and Jessica Sottler, governance lead, governance researcher at CommonsStack, TE Commons and Block Science, and last but not least, Raul Martinez for NFT smart contracts advisor at TE Academy. This was the team building TE Fundamentals, plus there is a great team of partners and advisors building and enabling us to build this program, General Magic, building the platforms and the NFTs, Otter Space, a new startup. We are collaborating with them on the NFT certificates aspect, Anna for legal support, and our funding partners, 1KX, VC, TE Token Engineering, Commons, Consensus, and Crypto Plaza. And actually, they made it possible to offer this program for free. And that's also why I'm super grateful to have them on board. And that said, I'd like to welcome two people here at Full Node that have been, or actually free, that have been really important for the journey of TE Academy. And maybe you'd like to say hello quickly and introduce yourself. I'd like to start with Danilo. I already mentioned you come over so that people can see you in front of the camera. Just a few words about your background.
Yeah, so hi everyone, it's a real pleasure to be here at this early access launch for the fundamentals. It's really a dream for many of us coming through. In terms of my background, I'm from Brazil. I'm an atmospheric physicist from Universidade de São Paulo. And it's interesting because, let me see how I untap that. Because, so I'll give a bit of my personal background first. So atmospheric physics, we are interested a lot about, for example, modeling complex systems, about how we ingest data sources that has very heterogeneous format, because we need to consume data from satellites, from ground stations, and so on. We also are concerned with, let's say, future extrapolations over that complex system, and also what's the effect of interventions. And it's kind of fun because when I did the transition, for example, to this field of token engineering, people did ask me, and I told them, oh, I have switched now to being concerned with climate change so that I could become concerned now with economic change, because economic is pretty much at the root of everything we do. We need to have the right incentives and so on. And I think that, yeah, we are doing a pretty critical piece right now about, let's say, how we want our incentives to be. And yeah, so about some words about engineering. I mean, over the course of the journey, and Angela has already told a bit, but engineering any system is really, you have lots of ways of how to approach it. Think it like building a bridge. You have legal aspects, you have design aspects, there is semantics aspects, and every one of them are going to involve for a different toolkit, a different mindset. So, for example, for designing, usually you have, not only you need, for example, to have people that have expertise in UX, in knowing the stakeholders, in knowing how to describe the requirements and desirables, but also you need to have this mathematical toolkit so that we can build a solid foundation so that we know the consequences. When you move, for example, to the maintenance phase or implementation phase, you move into a more scientific workflow, where you need, for example, to build models and simulations. And this is really art by itself, because you need to make lots of considerations, because trying to, let's say, know everything at once can be quite hard. So a lot of times you need to know the specific questions so that you build something tailored for those questions. And I think that the token engineering fundamentals will be an excellent course so that we know the entire area. Everyone is going to have a full overview of what it takes to design a solid token system and the incentives that is going to generate. And one thing that I would like to highlight is that this course is actually the culmination of several years of multiple education efforts across the Token Engineering Academy, the Token Engineering Commons, and several other partners on the ecosystems. It's really about, let's say, taking our learnings over the course of 2 to 3 years, having more, and create a single cohesive path so that everyone can follow through. And yeah, it's a huge joy to be here. I'm pretty happy. I'm also super happy to see so many people interested about seeing so many people at Zoom at this physical room. I think we are, it's really an emerging area that's only going to grow. So, we are on a special moment right now, and that's it. Thanks for all. Thanks for the entire Token Engineering Academy for making that true, and also the entire community that, let's say, this course is only free because the community believes in making this course accessible for everyone. We need to have make the knowledge spread so that this becomes useful for the entire trajectory of what we are building. So yeah, thanks all.
Danilo, thank you. Thanks, Danilo. And you mentioned the last couple of years and what happened since then, and you're right. Actually, the T fundamentals is the result of what many people contributed to the field over the last couple of years. And that said, Jeff, would you like to come over here? Jeff, Emmett, I think we met in 2018 or so. You have been very early in the space. You have been super important with your research at Common Stack, at Log Science, and yeah, just say some words about you.
Yeah, so thank you for putting all this together. Angela's really been a driving force of a lot of the token engineering cohesion before the Academy, before the Commons. But I mean, it's great to see this ecosystem sort of opening up, lots of different organizations playing different roles. Of course, education being one of the most necessary, because what we see all the time is that there's way more demand than there is supply and expertise of sort of these new engineering principles. You know, in electrical systems and electronics, where I came from, you have a certain number of sort of primitives, resistors, capacitors, inductors. You can combine them in lots of different ways to produce interesting circuits. But in this field, we're not really limited by the analog like we are in physical systems. So there's a much wider design space that we can kind of take these interesting steps into. And I think we're, as Danilo said, just at the very beginning of that. One thing I wanted to say about sort of the math and Python and other stuff, don't be discouraged. When I first was reading about the space, like, I'm not a developer, and actually it was really encouraging. I was watching Griff Green, and he was telling people, you know, you don't have to be a developer to get into this space. You don't need crazy technical skills. You don't second guess jumping in, because there's so much to explore, to learn, both through sort of incremental steps like TE fundamentals courses, but also kind of back propagating, like going through, you know, optimization textbooks or machine learning, or just going back, finding the right topic you need, grabbing that and applying it to the system you're working in. Of course, if you're working with people who have years of expertise in these systems, that really helps. But don't be discouraged if you're feeling like you don't have the math background or the development background, because token engineering, I think, will eventually be a pipeline. Like any engineering design, you have multiple organizations, you have specialization from the mathematical formalization. I mean, in my role, I work with a lot of token engineers. I don't do any of that. I know what it means, but I don't know how to do it. And that's okay, because the role that I play is more engineering communications, communicating what happened in the engineering to a client or even a DAO. Now that there's more of the sort of DAO-based token engineering, you need to explain to a much wider community. So there's a huge skill set of opportunities in this space, and it's not all hardcore math, hardcore Python, but of course you need to be familiar with and comfortable with sort of the concepts and what's being covered there. So yeah, really excited to see 2,500 signups on the course. I think this space is just going to be bigger and bigger, and really excited to be a part of it. So thanks, everybody.
Yay, thanks. I wonder if we have anyone from Consensus in the call. Charles, Lawrence, have you been able to make it?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Yay, okay. Great, Lawrence. I'd like to give you the stage to also say some words about your work and Consensus, and why you are supporting TE fundamentals.
Perfect. Is this the time for my slides as well? I take it. Perfect. Let me just share screen if that's okay. Awesome. So yeah, as Angela said, just giving a brief introduction into Consensus, the crypto economics team and the token engineering department, which I'm a part of and sort of falls within the broader crypto econ. So I'm just going to give a sort of overview of, firstly, crypto econ, Consensus, then crypto econ, and then token engineering, and give an example of some of the projects we worked on, just to give you a flavor of what token engineering is like at Consensus. If you've got any questions, ping them in the chat and I will try to keep an eye on it as well. Awesome. So for those of you that aren't aware of Consensus and what we do, effectively we are one of the leading crypto companies in Web3, and we have some of the sort of infrastructure that helps a lot of people access and build on Web3. So a few of them that you may know, things like MetaMask, which has about 30 million monthly active users, is coming on to 6 years old now. And that sort of powers a lot of access to Web3 and DeFi. And that you'll see as it comes around is sort of the main sort of strategy that we have a Consensus is creating this sort of flywheel. So creating more users, creating more dApps, creating more on Web3 generally, and trying to drive that back to our products and ecosystem. So we're very ecosystem focused. And so that's why we've got things like Truffle, which is developer tooling, so helping people to develop out their dApps in the first place, or their blockchain applications. We've got Diligence, so helping to audit projects in the space, make sure that they are safe and hopefully not very vulnerable to hacks as good as can be. Infura, which is sort of the developing unit for developing tool for Web3 and helping people build their dApps or blockchain projects. And then also we've got the Mesh sort of Hyperledger Teku, so working with clients and helping them prepare for the merge and so on. And so at the core of our strategy is just making sure that we're building the ecosystem. If we build the ecosystem, that'll in turn bring more users and more people back around to us. And so crypto econ, we've only been going for about a year or so, but what we believe in crypto econ is that token-based digital economies are a change in the fabric of capitalism. We don't think that they're a fad, they're going to pass. We think they've got real value that can help bring value to ecosystems and products alike. Not to say that tokens are fit for every single product, but there is a good use case and benefit in a range of different areas. And we also believe that token-based economies will succeed, and we should learn to by doing. As Angela's mentioned, it's a new area, there's a lot to learn, and getting those common practices and getting that knowledge from you about is something that we're working towards and trying to build out in the system as well. And so we have 3 core functions within crypto economics at Consensus, and they all tie in together. And so our crypto economic team is made up of token engineering, where I fall. It's made up of Web3 and DAO participation, so engaging as a delegate, engaging with DAO strategies and sort of being at the forefront of the research in that space. And then also investment strategy, so understanding how to invest from our treasury, how do we do market making. And so all of these sort of feed into each other. Token engineering, we launch and advise on tokens, which then obviously brings tokens into your treasury. And so that's where our investment team comes in and sort of how to manage that treasury and how do we implement financial best practices into token engineering as well as our DAOs. And then we've got the Web3 and DAO participation, which drives into stuff like governance within the token engineering projects and just understanding what it is that the big participants from the space want and are looking to do and how we can align our own objectives around that. And likewise, the Web3 and DAO participation drives into the DAO treasury side of things for investments, and investments participates in governance. So it's all kind of this flywheel that we're trying to build up, all of these different interconnected areas and how they drive and bring value to each of them. And so just to give a quick update on what we've been doing in each of those different areas. So token engineering, we do stuff like protocol research library, so working to build out resources on what Consensus does, how we work, what are the latest token engineering trends, and sort of bringing this all together. So we've got a comprehensive repository of token mechanisms and how they all work. And we've worked on things like Palm. You may have heard of Palm, the NFT network, doing the tokenomics there. We work with Village DAO, which I'll speak about a little more later. And also Diligence NFT Turn platform, which is basically NFTs to tokenize time for Diligence's services. And a bunch of other internal and external projects that are yet to come. And hopefully it'll be quite exciting for you all to learn about in the future. So, token engineering. So as you mentioned, our token engineering sort of revolves around cultivating a research practice, and this is the core of what everything we do. We want to be able to understand what's happening in the industry, how it all ties together, and making sure that we're really on top of the latest innovations because things are moving so fast. New tokens are being released with new models that haven't been tested before. And so just staying on top of that for us is really core of everything we do at token engineering. And that feeds into our opinions and how we think and approach certain topics and community engagement processes. And so this helps us generate a research library and engage the public. And then that helps us come up with better research engagement that we can then implement and try and test which will, in the end, contributes to more research and stronger ideas and a deeper understanding of token engineering, tokenomics in the world. And so to give a quick view of what sort of tasks that we do and what sort of work that we do, these are our sort of overarching deliverables that we work with. So ecosystem and agent mapping, just understanding how a product works without a token, what are the different factors that influence others, and what can we look to incentivize in order to create the most value by implementing a token. So that could be we want to incentivize assets under management, for example, and how can we implement that token in there to drive more assets to be brought under management. Things like objective functions as well, which is understanding what the core premise and goal of the token is, understanding the different mechanisms, so driving back to that research point and understanding everything, all these different token designs that are on the market and how we can start implementing them or making a variation of. Emissions and distribution modeling, as you'd expect, token allocations and emissions airdrops and so on, as well as other areas such as the governance analysis and tooling, and also just understanding the exogenous market structure. So understanding market making, whether it should be an IDO, an ICO, IEO, so initial exchange offering, and there are a bunch of different areas. And so this is just to give you a sort of a holistic picture of all of the different variables that are involved in a token engineering project and the different steps that you need to go through in order to be able to create a fully working product that is not only a token just standing on its own, but it ties in with the product goals and how it all works within the overall market and ecosystem. And so just to give you a quick feel, and conscious I could spend a lot more time chatting about this stuff as there's loads going on here. So just giving you a high level overview about some of the different project types that we have at Consensus. And so we primarily work between external projects as well as internal projects. And so these external projects, they can range from doing workshops to just educating people. Can be working with Web 2 companies to decentralize or create more value for their products. Or it could be that they're wanting to create a whole new product altogether. And so we'll work with them and help design. And these ones tend to be a lot more hands-on and a lot more idea focused and education focused in order to bring people who aren't necessarily Web3 native up to speed and ensure that they're on the same page. And so these ones tend to be a bit more drawn out. But then also we work with Web3 companies and just help them tokenize their offerings and actually help them bring the best practices for bringing a token to market. And so these have like different levels of involvement. As I say, the Web 2, it's much closer. You've got to have a much more educational approach. And the Web 3 companies, they've probably got their own existing preconceptions. And so understanding how we can sort of bring those into our sphere of thinking and persuade them of the different manners, because a lot of people in Web 3 have their very strong ideas, and not to say they're wrong, but we need to back them up with some sort of core token engineering skills like that objective function and the sort of the ecosystem mapping to make sure that is actually the true assumptions that we're going for. And then also,
Lawrence, I guess we could talk for forever about your work at Consensus. Maybe at this point, let me just mention that we'll have at DEF CON a community hub on cryptoeconomics and governance. This is the place, if you are at DEF CON, to meet Lawrence and Charles from Consensus, and we'll share more about your work there as part of the program about token engineering in practice and governance in practice. And Lawrence, I'd suggest that we then dig into the details, because this is absolutely exciting to see, okay, what are the challenges you meet, how do you tackle it, and what have been the practice of token engineering you've established at Consensus. Thanks so far, Lawrence.
All good. Hope they
Thanks for joining the call. And yeah, feel free to reach out to Lawrence in the chat. And thanks again for supporting T Fundamentals. Again, this wouldn't have been possible without Consensus. Yeah, round of applause. And last but not least, before we have the host presentations, I'd like to ask CryptoPlaza Jesus on stage, because he's also a partner and we partnered for a purpose. Let's take a look at CryptoPlaza and your activities in the Web3 space. Jesus.
Can I share that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay, so probably I will talk.
Whatever you prefer. We can see you, no problem.
Okay.
But yeah, if you switch on your camera, all good.
First of all, thank you for permitting us to be involved in here. We think really it's one of the biggest challenges of the ecosystem. Coordination is really important, and really do this kind of knowledge. It's really important. Yeah, but I know.
It's a little bit a mess of the sound.
Yeah,
Probably.
Can you hear me right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's okay sound. Okay, so CryptoPlaza is released in very similarly to Full Node in Madrid. We are really well, really our main objective is really to can really wait a moment, yes, to can really help our ecosystem, ecosystem to really to grow, to really be involved in all the international things, and really you also invest in that kind of in the companies that we really incubate. So right now we have a space really near to one of the center of Madrid in Atocha, Méndez Álvaro, and we have like a very big space and people is working there. We are doing events all the time, and we would love to have a huge token engineer community in our space, because I think that will help our ecosystem to do the things better, and also to be more closer to the international community. As I think sometimes the language is a problem, we think we want to first of all facilitate all this knowledge to our community, but also to bring more closer to the global community. So that's our main use. So we have really, as you see, a lot of places. We organize an event in Madrid, and we are really great to help really to engineer to succeed. We have also a lot of this our ecosystem. I don't know if you know that Aragon was founded by a Spanish member. So really, we have a very big project that is one of the projects that are in our space. EpiHub, Raul is from EpiHub. So in that kind of, we have introduced our community to be involved in also in token engineering. And yes, happy to have a study group in Madrid, and happy to connect with our ecosystem if you know, if you want. So really, very excited to be also in Colombia, because we are really close to Latin American people also. So really want to be more involved. And the other thing that I think diversity is really important for innovation, and I think we can really facilitate that.
Awesome. Actually, you have been the inspiration for us to spin up communities and learning groups in various languages. And today we see that it pays out. I guess we have around 10 groups only in Spanish to study token engineering. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for supporting T Fundamentals. Now I have to switch back to the setup with the speakers here. I hope this will work out. Let me check. Okay, I hope you can hear us still, and that everybody, yeah, okay, looks good. So I'll go back to the slides. Or Paddy, would you like to share the slides to introduce the early access now?
Hello, yes. One moment, let me find the slides here. Talk about the study groups that you have been asking about, right? Let's see if everyone can see my screen. Can you see it?
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. So let me talk about the study groups that we have been working on. I saw many questions here on how to join, what to do, where are them? And today we have a great opportunity to meet some of the hosts. So let me first introduce you quickly and tell you why we are using this why we chose to have study groups in an online course, right? So we are talking about, as Angela mentioned, token engineering is about designing economic systems, right? So what does, in an economy system, what does money mean to me? I am from Brazil. What does money mean to me? And what does money mean to you that you are in Europe? And then where in Europe are you? So that money means something for you that you are in the in each place that you are in the world. It means a different aspect. I imagine that we will all have different perspectives about it. So, and not only about money, right? What are other variables that we can consider when we are designing an economic system? And so that's the power that lies behind local communities to enhance and to collaborate together to find what are the aspects that I could not think by myself and try to understand by myself what's happening across the board. So I might need to have someone there telling me and helping me design it. So this is a great power on local communities, not only about the cross-disciplinary collaboration, but also regarding the different backgrounds. Also, TE, so token engineering is about network. So by building study groups across the globe, we are helping to establish the token engineering as a new discipline. What are the values here? What are the values in establishing it across the world? So first we have global collaboration, then we have different perspectives, we have cross-disciplinarities, teams, and so it goes, right? And then there is this, why not make an online course, and it's online because to increase the reach of this discipline, but why not make this an online course and then give it the warm touch of connections? Whenever we have study groups, we are not studying anymore alone and everyone in their own corners, but rather we are gathering communities, we are building communities and making connections. So it's not only about learning. So of course, learning is an important part, and the ideal study group would have a very clear focus from start to the end on the learning aspect. But then we are not doing a study session in a library or with everyone isolated. We are opening a space for people to hear and to be heard. So to connect, to learn together. And then what are some of the most frequent illusions of competence that we might find whenever we are studying by ourselves? So there is reading. Whenever I read a new content and I read it again, and then I think, oh, maybe I have learned it. So I memorize it very well. So I think I understood everything. But then when you try to explain it to someone else, you might find that there are certain topics you are not so certain about, you are not so sure about. So then you can go back and study it again, or even better, you can hear someone else explain it to you in a different way. So these exchanges can be super rich, and this is a little bit about why we have study groups and who's working behind the scenes to do these study groups. This could not be possible without the host. So I will give a big round of applause to all of the hosts. So a big thank you guys for all of that. This is very important because you are actively building this new discipline with us. So TE is about connections, and you are living examples of the give and the get pillar of TE Academy. So our education is free, and it's super important to us to keep it accessible to as many people as possible, but how to contribute back? So for example, by becoming a host. So who are our hosts? They are amazing community members. They are engineers, they are economists, they are venture developers, Web3 natives, They are newcomers, seasoned pros, and students across the globe. So they are not necessarily mentors or specialists in TE, but they have in common this interest, and they got involved in learning token engineering, and they found out, and they simply got in touch with us, and then we started to arrange the next steps. So they are also here to learn TE fundamentals. That's the main goal of a study group, but they also have, by welcoming other community members to learn with them, they have put in a lot of effort, meaning they are preparing themselves by going through a training, and they are planning the sessions. So they are investing their time and their energy into the study groups. It's worth it to take a look and meet them, which we're going to do in a moment. So this is just a note. If you are interested, you can you can join study group, meet other students, connect, discuss something questions, celebrate that you take the exam together and celebrate together. If you want to start your own, the form is currently closed. For now, we are finishing next steps and training with the hosts that already started the process, and we are opening it again in November only. And now let's take a quick look over what we already have regarding study groups. What are the study groups that are there? So it's a long list. It's amazing. Here we have, let's go over it a little bit. We have African study group. We have the Agora Scholars. We have many in English. Here you can see all the details. I don't know if you have, you can see it very well, but there are African, there is a Brazilian, Berlin, CryptoFam in the US. There is Bahasa Indonesian study group, Italian study group. There are there's a Finland study group. There's a study group in Japan. There is, here we can see Latin Blockchain Society, and then if we scroll down a little bit in the Notion overview that I'm gonna share, let me drop this in the chat. So today, you can see in the chat some links for you to, some links and where you can see all this overview. And then here are two more Latin study groups. So we have in total 3, plus we have this Madrid, the MetaCivic, Mexico study group. So I would say, I think, just taking a quick look in this overview, we have 5 Spanish-speaking study groups. We also have more in English, one about memes, one in Russian, one in Polish. So it's a very diverse list. And feel free to take a look at the links that I sent, and you'll find more information about each of them. You will be able to click on them